Hello, friends. On episode 1, we were talking about how orchids rely on the presence of some very specific fungi to germinate. These fungi metabolize nutrients from the medium and bring them inside the seeds, as well as in the roots later in the plant's life. It is the famous association called mycorrhiza. But the in vitro method that we're going to talk about is very different. We use a gelatinous medium, super sterilized and super nutritious, full of minerals, sugars, and other substances the seeds need for germination. But the super nutritious medium has its drawbacks too, because not only the seeds will love it, bacteria and all sorts of fungi will take it for a banquet. The jars with the seeds get contaminated by molds and bacteria very easily. Even when we're outrageously careful, a few of the jars always end up contaminated. It is very hard to keep things absolutely aseptic, and it takes a bit of trial and error before we get our hand right for the process. In a well equipped lab, contamination control is much easier, but in the home setting, we must be triple careful. Fungi and bacteria are microorganisms that reproduce asexually. It means that they don't need a partner to produce offspring. Bacteria reproduce by cell division. One bacteria divides into two, these two into four, the four into eight, so on and so forth. A geometric progression. Fungi, in turn, reproduce by producing spores, microscopic granules that can stay suspended in air until they get in touch with a favorable surface. Then they begin to grow and colonize it. So, very clearly, you need no more than one single cell of bacteria, one single spore of fungus to quickly compromise the whole jar of seeds, especially by fungi whose spores remain afloat in the air and can very easily enter the jars when you open them after sterilization, even if for a fraction of a second. So, trying to do your seed sowing on your tabletop in the kitchen is a sure way to failure. Commercial orchid nurseries have laboratories equipped with a laminar flow chamber. It is a large glass box, which kind of reminds me of a donut display. It blows sterile filtered air inside of it, forcing an outgoing flow of clean air that prevents dirty outside air from getting inside. It is very convenient, but the price is off limits for the amateur, and a disproportional investment if you're going to sow only a few jars per year. I have seen a model of box made with cardboard, with holes for the hands and an incandescent light bulb. Didn't work for me. Maybe it was my fault and I didn't operate it well. So I decided to try an even safer contraption, a glove box. A box we can shut close and manipulate jars and seeds inside of it through the gloves attached. On the internet, you can find different models made of different materials, but I designed mine to be the simplest, cheapest, and using materials easily available anywhere in the world. Let's begin by building the box itself, which I made using styrene foam sheets, the kind you find in any stationery shop, and duct tape that you find in any hardware store too. We are going to use 10 mm thick styrofoam sheets. For the front side of the box, we're cutting two rectangles, 20 by 50 centimeters each. Get yourself a couple of feet of a 10 centimeter or 4 inches wide PVC water pipe. Use it to mark two circles on the foam pieces, about an inch away from the edges. That's where we will fit the gloves later on. Now we glue one piece on top of the other. We'll make every side of the box with double layers, otherwise the box is not strong enough, and that also helps making strong fittings in the corners. I'm using double-face tape to do it because it is faster and we can record the video all at once. But you can also use regular white glue. Just remember that it takes a long time to dry with styrofoam. It will take some 24 hours before you can go on with your work. Okay, so this is the front side of our box. Now let's cut these holes open so we can fit our gloves later on. For the side walls, we start out with a sheet of 40 by 60 centimeters. On one side, we mark 20 centimeters on top. On the other side, 20 centimeters in the bottom. Now we cut the diagonal between these 2 points. That gives us 2 identical pieces, 20 centimeters tall on one side and 40 centimeters tall on the other side. Let's trim the edges on one of them, 1 inch on both sides and top, but not the bottom edge. Now we glue the small piece onto the larger one, making sure the bottom edges match. So the dent we have made here makes a perfect fit when we assemble it to the front side. This one is the back wall. It only needs a dent here on the top edge, but not on the side and bottom edges. And we also need a second side wall that mirrors the one we built earlier. So now let's begin the assembly. We're going to be using white glue and duct tape. Always press the tape tight and strong against the foam. There, check this out. This is a nice start. Now, let's make the top side of our box. We need a piece with 50 by 40 centimeters approximately, but you better measure your box precisely. This is an important fit. Consider that you will want to chamfer both the top and bottom edges. We also need a piece of sheet glass. I have this one that used to belong to a fish tank for a lid, but the tank is broken and this is finding a new purpose now. It's not an expensive item though if you have to buy one. You don't want it to be too small so you can comfortably see what you're doing. The best position for the window is like this, centered on the lower half. Mark the position of the glass and then make a second mark, 10 millimeters smaller on each side. You can cut all the way through along this inner line. And remember, your best friend at this point is the vacuum cleaner. Let's sculpt the dent around the outer line, just lowering the edge a few millimeters here, not all the way through this time, so we fit the glass tightly in this frame. Secure the glass in the foam with duct tape all around it. And we have to duplicate it, like every other side of the box. I made this half in two parts just not to throw away some foam pieces that we're going to waste. But it is ideally made in one piece, with no seams. After positioning the top in its place, we close and seal every corner with duct tape. You want to tape every other cut edge of the foam so it doesn't start shedding little foam bits. Now, remember that piece of PVC water pipe we used before? Well, let's cut two pieces, each 12 centimeters or 5 inches long. It is very important to sand and smooth out the rims. You also need two of these ties. I know them as Hellerman cable ties. They must be at least 40 centimeters or 16 inches long, so they wrap around the PVC pipe. Let's make 3 little marks here, close to the rim, like 1 inch long and as wide as your cable tie is. Now use a hot knife to cut open the 3 little slits. I'm right-handed, so I'm using the right hand of these regular gardening rubber gloves. But you must get the largest size you can find, super extra large. Fit the sleeve of the glove to the end of the pipe and hold it in place with one of your ties. Make sure it is docked into the slits we cut before and tie it really firm. This kind of glove lets you feel the touch of small things you manipulate inside the box. But watch this. Even the extra large glove won't let you slide your hand in easily without help from the other hand. That's why we need an even larger glove for the left hand. It will not have help from the right hand. This is a very large glove used by electricians. You can find them in stores where you buy safety equipment. See how easy it is to slide my hand in it? But it is terrible to the touch, and this hand will just play support role, helping the other hand. So that's it. Time to attach the gloves to the box. Cut pieces of tape halfway through its width several times so you can embrace the PVC and still have parts to glue onto the foam wall. Make sure you close and eliminate all the gaps. This is not the time to be economic with your duct tape. You don't want any air leaking here. In the end, this is how your box is supposed to be looking like. Let's now make a base for the box. Over a piece of thick plywood or MDF, 50 by 60 centimeters approximately. Then we cut a double-layered foam bottom for the box, the exact size for a tight fitting, and let's glue it to the center of our wooden base. Let's see how well it's fitting here. There, perfect. Use a screw for a hinge on this piece of wood and a clamp to close it tight so the box doesn't flex and stays put when you use it. Et voila! Here's our glove box for sewing procedures that require a contamination-free environment. In our next episodes, we show you how to prepare the medium and how to sow your seeds using this nice little glove box. Subscribe to our channel and ring the bell if you want to learn about our next videos.